I might be too strung out on compliments, overdosed on confidence, started not to give a
So now you might be wondering, what is parkour? How was it created? Parkour, also known as the art of movement, is a sport or method of physical training that was created by David Bell in France. The objective of parkour is to get over, around, and through obstacles in the most efficient ways possible. Typically, parkour is done in cities or urbanized areas, but because of how dangerous it is usually illegal. Parkour has been seen in major movies like in the opening scene of James Bond's Casino Royale or in video games like Assassin's Creed. Parkour is very popular and global. It can be found here in Tampa. Because of this popularity of parkour, it attracts a lot of people. This can be good and bad. It is bad that many of these people will try to do parkour and eventually injure themselves. I will be showing you how to do a proper parkour landing and the physics behind it. The first step to making the perfect parkour landing is to look at the spot where you will be landing. While this step may seem fairly self-explanatory, one must have all of his or her focus and concentration, as one small mistake can cause harm to the body. This step is mainly for preparation to the landing. The next step in the landing is to jump in an upwards but still forward motion. During the jump, you also want to bend your knees slightly, as this will reduce the amount of force produced. It is critical that you do not jump straight down, as this will not protect you during the landing, and it will be near impossible to roll while being perpendicular to the ground. We will compare the amount of force on you with locked knees and the amount of force with slightly bent knees. If we assume the average male mass is 70 kilograms, we can calculate the amount of force that will be produced in the landing with locked knees. Using Newton's second law, we know that the net force is equal to mass times acceleration. Plugging in our variables, we come out with the answer of 686 newtons as the net force. Now that we know how much force the body will have while falling, we still need to know the force acting upon the body once it has landed. We will say that it is a 3-meter fall. Now we have to use another equation, the conservation of energy. This will produce the potential energy at the maximum height, but we will also use it to find the velocity. Now that we know the potential energy and velocity, we can continue. We need to convert the potential energy from the height of 3 meters to kinetic energy just before landing. Using this equation, we can tell that it depends on the time of impact. We can infer that landing with the locked knees would only produce a small impact time of 1 millisecond or possibly 2 milliseconds. As you can see, landing with locked knees produces about 55,000 newtons or 12,000 pounds of force. This is about the same amount of force as 12 kung fu flying kicks. With this information, we can infer that we would definitely not be good on our knees and could result in broken bones. If we followed the instructions with bent knees and increased the time of impact, the force would go down considerably. Just increasing the time of impact to 0.3 seconds will lower the amount of force to around 850 newtons, or only about 190 pounds of force. While 190 pounds of force is still a lot, bending your knees will reduce the force considerably. The next step to the perfect parkour landing is to point your toes toward the ground and slightly extend your legs while still keeping them bent. Pointing your toes and extending your legs will help you land on the balls of your feet rather than the heel first. You will want to land on the balls of your feet because it will allow for a longer impact time and your legs will compact less. Once your feet have touched the ground, you'll have to bend your knees. As stated earlier, will increase your time of impact and help you begin your roll, which will lessen the amount of force on your legs as you transfer your momentum from pulling you down to actually powering you forward in your roll. The bending of your knees will act as shock absorbers. Using your hands will help guide you in your roll, as rolling the wrong way can injure your spine. Now you will want to roll from one hip to the opposite side shoulder or a diagonal motion. This will reduce the chance for injury as the roll distributes the force through the body rather than just on the legs. Your downward momentum will be transferred into your rolling motion and propel or spring forward. Rolling is increasing the time of impact. This will lessen the force on your body and is very similar to the equation with bent knees. In conclusion, these are the 5 steps to ensure a perfect parkour landing. If followed correctly, you should be able to jump from a high height and walk away unscathed, knowing how and why your landing was so successful and without injuries. Using Newton's second law conversions from potential energy to kinetic energy and the relationship between the time of impact and force, we know how parkour landings work.